Hey, working mom. Welcome to Order Meets Style. I'm Zizi Man, professional organizer with Firefly Bridge Organizing. I'm here to provide you with simple tips and ideas to organize your home so that you can love the way your home looks and functions, and so you're proud to invite anyone over anytime without stressing out about clutter. Ready for a beautifully organized home that makes you smile every time you walk in? Well, let's make it happen. Let's have a conversation about how to store all those baby and kids' clothes that we need to keep. These are the clothes that they've recently outgrown and you want to keep them for a younger sibling, or they're the clothes that are still too big for them. And so we want to keep them until the kids grow a bit more, until they fit into them. Where are you keeping those right now? And let me make a guess. You've probably got a plastic bin, or no, make that 3 plastic bins full of kids' clothes. And I'm going to guess that they're in the basement or the attic or the garage. To be clear, none of this is a bad idea, but I want to talk with you about how to make it better. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 ideas for how to keep the too big and the too small clothes under better control in your house. Let's be honest about these clothes. Whether you have one child or you have many more than one, you probably started strong, right? When you brought home your first baby, you bought newborn-sized clothes and maybe some 3-month size clothes too. And then there were all the gifts that everyone gave to you. Some were probably 3 months or newborn size, but a lot were bigger, right? 6 months or even a year. I remember we had outfits that we were given that were for a year-old baby. And so you started off by keeping those somewhere, maybe in a drawer or in your child's closet. But pretty soon there was a whole lot more. And then the baby got bigger and you started storing the outgrown stuff in a bin for your next baby or to give to nieces or nephews. And so it's pretty common for the bin situation to spiral out of control. It happened to me. It happens to so many other parents. And if it's happened to you, don't worry. It's really common. And so here is what I would suggest. You really need to sort the kids' clothes by size and season and gender, of course. Now, even if you live in a place where there are barely 2 seasons, like I do here in Miami, it's basically hot and a little less hot, but you will have some clothes that are more appropriate for some kind of colder weather. And of course, if you travel, you'll probably have some seasonal clothes for the kids as well. This is going to take some significant upfront work to sort all that, right? And so doing this with a friend or maybe with grandma or even with your older kids can really make it feel like less of a chore. And it can also give you another set of critical eyes on all the clothes that you're trying to put away, which can help you decide if you're keeping too much or maybe you're keeping too little, depending on the type of person that you are. Sometimes, because we are sentimental beings, we might look at clothing and feel that it's perfectly suited for keeping to pass on because it was such a cute outfit or someone made it by hand or someone special gave it to you as a gift. But another person might look at that and see that it's too stained or maybe it's something that can't be repaired. It's just another opinion for you to consider when you have others doing this upfront sorting with you. I would suggest that you try to limit the number and the sizes of the bins that you keep. I know that it's really easy to just toss all the outgrown clothes into one huge bin in the basement or the garage or an out-of-the-way room. You don't have to think about it. You just take everything that's been outgrown and you toss it in there and you say, okay, I'm going to take it out for the next child. But of course, when your child is ready for the next size of clothing, how enthusiastic are you going to be about digging out the size 3T from a giant bin of everything that you've thrown in there from newborn to 6 years old? So you can have a giant bin if you want, but be sure to subdivide it on the inside, okay? You can use smaller boxes that you label clearly with size and season. We've done this with just, cardboard bankers boxes that we happen to have. You can use shoe boxes or drawer dividers if your bins are shallow, like the under the bed storage bins. If you want to use bags to separate the sizes, I would suggest the big space saver bags or huge zip top style bags that once you fill them, you can file them vertically into your big plastic bin. As organized as you think it might be to put clothes into shopping bags, close the bags, and then drop them into that big bin, you can label the bags and all that. But if all the bags are in there, one on top of the other, the last thing you're going to want to do is dig through all of those bags to find the one size that you need. But if instead you use the big space saver bags, label them, of course, and then file them vertically into a bin, it's going to be much easier and much faster to find and take out the one bag that you need. And you don't even need to vacuum the air out of the space saver bags and all that if you don't want to. In fact, I find that to be a lot simpler to be able to put things in and take them out just when you need to. So I don't even like to vacuum the air out of those space saver bags. Remember that the goal is not just to stuff and store as much as you can into one bin. No. The goal is to have a system that you can dip into and out of quickly and easily anytime you want. Because imagine that it's time to store away all of the size 2T clothes. So you take the time and the effort to go through the clothes, sort which ones are worth keeping, you fold and you put them away into a space saver bag, and you go ahead and you vacuum the air out of it and you file it into that bin with a bunch of other bags that you've done the same with. Now, what if 2 days later, and this has happened to me, 2 days later, you happen to find a pair of little shoes and a sweater that need to go into that 2T bag that you missed? Are you going to be motivated to go and open that bag, add these extra things in there, take out the vacuum again, and go through all of that entire process? It's really your choice, but my preference is to make your life easy. So use those space saver bags and other zip top bags if that's your preference because of their size and their shape, but keep things simple so that you can get in and out of whatever size or season of clothes that you need to anytime at all. I also prefer to be somewhat picky about the size of bins that we use for storing these clothes. I want to make sure that both the mom and the dad are able to pick up and carry each bin into the kids' bedrooms whenever they need to. So keep the size only as large as you can comfortably carry without it being too bulky, and fill it only to a weight that you can carry by yourself. So you're never waiting for someone else to help you take it out and put it away if you need two people because it's just so incredibly heavy. You just want to be able to do this quickly and efficiently on your own. That's a preference, and I would do that instead of one huge bin with everything in it. Also, keep your labeling really simple. You just need size, gender, and season on any bin. Use a piece of painter's tape or masking tape for each size, gender, and season that's in that one bin. So if I'm keeping boys 3T winter and boys 3T summer in the same bin, I'll have 2 pieces of tape on that bin, right? And that way, if I take 3T summer out to be used and I replace it with 2T winter into that same bin that I'm now going to keep, I just replace that one piece of tape with 2T winter, okay? So you see how you'll be rotating in and out of these bins ongoing. You can also see just how many bins one family can potentially end up with here. If, say, the first child was a boy and the second child is a girl, but they're planning on a third, and so they want to keep everything. It's really important then to make decisions about how much you're willing to keep. There's a balance that you have to decide on, the balance between the money that you save by keeping and reusing all the clothes and the storage space you ultimately need. It's happened with me. It's happened to so many of my friends and family members that we have a bin of clothes somewhere, right, in our home. But before we know it, our kids have passed that size entirely without us ever going to get that bin and opening it up. We put in all of that work up front. We used all that space to store the clothes, and then it's almost too much of a pain to go and get the bins out. It's super frustrating when that happens. I figured out pretty quickly then that I needed to keep these bins where I could access them as quickly and as easily as possible. For me, that wasn't the basement or the attic or the garage, because that is an extra step. It was in the kids' closets that I would easily and quickly access these bins. So just think about that for a second, because not only did the clothes that they fit in right now need to be in the closet, but I also had to have space for bins with outgrown and too big clothes, which meant ultimately that I finally came around to the concept of organizing only the essentials in my house. I couldn't just blindly drop everything in bins and say that I was going to keep it. No. Not only was that not feasible in terms of space, it also wasn't good or feasible in terms of waste. There were clothes that we were lovingly given for the kids that my kids never used. Not because they weren't great clothes necessarily, but simply because either there wasn't an occasion to wear it, we had too many pieces of clothing of that size, or maybe we just didn't like it. And so we never grabbed those outfits to dress the kids. So when we decided that we needed to be more conscious about what clothes we would keep for the kids, we also decided we needed to be more conscious about how many clothes and what type of clothes we would buy or get for them. And we'd also keep that in mind when family members would ask what gifts that they could get for the kids on holidays and things. So if I told them pajamas, I made sure that we didn't buy pajamas ourselves for them, so we didn't have too many. Right? So that's how my journey to organize only the essentials in my house sort of got started. So now that's one way of keeping clothes that your kids have outgrown or that are still too big for them. That's having labeled bins with size, gender, and seasons separated, bins that are only large enough and heavy enough that you can comfortably carry them yourself, and with separations inside the bins if you need, and storing those bins in places that you will easily remember to get them out when the time actually comes. Now, another method to keep control over all the clothes, and this method you can do either instead of the bins method or in addition to it, is having just a too big and a too small container in each child's closet. Let me explain this simple system, and then I'll talk about how you could use it instead of or in addition to the bins method. All you need is to find 2 containers of some kind to keep in your child's closet. You could certainly use 2 plastic bins, but you can also use some kind of pretty baskets that you already have somewhere in your house, or canvas bins or pop-up bins if you want to keep it aesthetically a little more pleasing in the closet, okay? You label one container too big and the other too small. And so very simply, when your child outgrows something, you fold it up and you put it in the too small bin. And when you receive something or you get something that your child can't fit into yet, that's still too big for them, you put it in the too big bin. Very simple. Okay, for those who have only one child, you likely don't need any other bins. So this could be the only system you need instead of the whole bin rotation business. But you could use a system in addition to your bin system. So you pull out the clothes that are one size bigger from your bin system, and you put these into the too big container. As your child starts to outgrow pieces that they're using from their closet right now, you place them into the too small container. When you find that you need to start using the things from the too big container, that's your cue, your signal to go through your kids' clothes and the clothes in the too small container and decide what you're going to put away to keep, and then move them to a labeled bin to keep, or you're just going to donate them, okay, or give them away. The nice thing about the too big and too small container system is that it's incredibly simple. It's an easy way to keep the closets from getting cluttered with clothes that just don't fit them yet or that don't fit them anymore. And it's so convenient to just put things into these containers right there and then in the closet instead of having to pull down any big storage bins and take out bags and so on. And remember that these shouldn't be huge containers, right? They should be something that fits comfortably in your kids' closets to keep these closets from feeling cluttered all the time. So those are 2 methods of keeping your hand-me-down kids' clothes organized, the bin method, and the too big and too small method. I'd love to know what you think about each of these and if you use these or a variation or combination of these two methods. Let's keep sharing ideas to help each other get our essentials organized in our houses. You can send me a direct message on social media at Firefly Bridge Organizing, or join my private Facebook group, The Organized Home Advantage. The link is in the show notes. And this is where I go live every Tuesday to share a brief organizing idea, and we have a conversation there all together. So I invite you to join us. I'm on a break right now in July, but we start up again next week, the first week of August, and I hope to see you there. So thank you so much for listening today. Enjoy your week, and I'll also meet you here on the podcast again next week.